Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. And another heavyweight news and note smash-up video today, starting with Joseph Parker, who's arrived in Manchester ahead of his fight with Joyce this weekend, which will be on the 24th of September in the Northern Hemisphere, Sunday the 25th in the Southern Hemisphere, 10:30 a.m. if you're in New Zealand for the main fight. So in terms of Parker, you've got his trainer Andy Lee making some comments on arrival in Manchester. So we'll start first with Andy Lee saying, despite there being a bit of a knock on Parker for not having a killer instinct, not having spite, he's seen some of it in training camp.
But there's a meanness, and there's been a couple of times in sparring when I've just said to him, like, get this guy out of there, go for it, just to show that little bit of ruthlessness, and he's done that in sparring, so I'm pleased to see that. Even if you are humble and very nice, inside yourself somewhere you probably think, I'm still gonna kick this guy's ass, really. That's probably using a lot of different language, but you know what I can say. And I think he's probably a bit miffed because he's been underestimated. He's been everyone's saying Joyce is going to walk over him, that Parker doesn't have a choice or have a chance, that it's all going to be Joyce's fight, and I think that's ruffled him a little bit, and he's going to hopefully and will look to prove people wrong.
Andy Lee also says Joseph Parker knows what he needs to do and not do.
If he gets caught up trading with Joyce or gets caught with a shot and tries to retaliate too soon and gets involved in a fights Joyce's fight, then it could be a very hard night. But I think Joseph Parker has all the attributes: the speed of hand, feet, his combination punching, and the deliberate moves that we've worked out that will work perfectly against Joyce. And if he can do them, he'll win easy.
Former promoter and also current manager David Higgins, he's also weighed in on Joseph Parker ahead of this fight with Joyce.
You can tell he's got a real fire in his belly second time round. First time it was probably all new. Joseph, you could almost call him a veteran now. He's gone 12 rounds with Chisora twice, Anthony Joshua, Dillian White, Andy Ruiz Jr. Those are big names on his resume, and he's beat more of those guys than lost. And Joyce is untested at that level. My gut is that Joseph will win emphatically and make a statement. Does that mean a stoppage? Maybe. A lot of people say Joyce has an amazing chin, but he hasn't really gone in the deep rounds against someone of Joseph Parker's quality. And for Joseph to finish Joyce by stoppage, that is a huge statement and puts him in the very elites, top 3 in the world, and a world title shot is very much justified at that point.
The rising unbeaten Australian heavyweight prospect Justis Huni is set to return to the ring on November the 4th. He will be facing Kiki Leutele of New Zealand. This fight will take place in Australia in Brisbane. So Huni, he's coming off a win against Joe Goodall not so long ago. And Kiki Leutele, his last fight was actually to the Australian Dempsey McKean, a very competitive fight. Some people thought that he did beat McKean. I had McKean winning it, but certainly there was some debate about the scoring. Kiki Leutele, he says, I've been waiting patiently for this fight, and I'm grateful for it to finally be happening. November 4, it's on, and it's going to be a war. I would like to thank my sponsors, yada, 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 yeah. So Kiki Leutele, he's like the 3rd or 4th best New Zealand heavyweight behind the likes of Joseph Parker, Junior Farr, Hemia Hill. So he's actually solid, he's tough, he's durable. He is prone to being dropped by an uppercut. He was taken down twice by Julius Long with the uppercut, but he went on to, get a draw in that fight from memory? I just can't quite remember. I think it was actually, he ended up escaping with the draw. But anyway, this is the stage where Huni is, where he's only got about a half a dozen fights on his ledger. It's not bad. It's certainly better than most prospects would be facing at a similar stage in their career. And Justis Huni actually currently is in the United States, in Las Vegas, training. So will this signal that after this fight, that Huni is going to start basing himself offshore, at least maybe for training? It's a question. I think Justis Huni and his training setup, there is potentially moves that they could make. And eventually, once Huni does outgrow the Australian pond in terms of, milking the local market in terms of pay-per-view fights, etc., I think they will have to sort of send him off somewhere around the world, United Kingdom or United States, to further his career. We'll have to see. Meanwhile, sticking with Australian heavyweights for a second, Faiga Opelu, he's in training ahead of his fight with Hemia, which is going to be on the Haney Kambosos undercard. That's in about a month. He's currently training with David Nika, the New Zealand bronze medalist from the most recent Olympic Games in Tokyo. They're obviously not fighting, but training together. So Opelu fighting Hemia. That could be interesting. Hemia will certainly go in the favourite, I believe. But decent matchmaking, we'll have to see what will happen. Certainly, if a heel goes in there and blasts him out, we need to see a heel in much bigger and better fights after that. A quick one here with Mahmoud Charr. So he's continuing to call out Tyson Fury, and he really believes he'll be fighting him on December the 3rd. Saying at Tyson Fury, I promise you on December 3, I will smash your pretty face, you big dosser. I focus this green and gold belt. It's coming home. And that's the fight that nobody is calling for except Charr. And if it actually happens, it's garbage. And I'm saying so now. Can't really see too many people saying it's a good fight except a few fanboys. The Italian heavyweight Guido Vianello, who is in the top rank stable, is going to be having a homecoming fight in Italy. So on the 28th of October in Rome, he'll be facing the British heavyweight McFarlane. So a slightly odd sort of pairing, the fact that he's having this, being the headliner of this card in Rome. Interesting that Vianello is not going to be fighting in the United States, where he has been fighting recently. On his Instagram, he says Rome, and then has the details of the fight. And you can see the promo graphic here with McFarlane. And McFarlane was actually in the ring just a few days ago facing Chris Healy. Here's a couple of little shots from the fight. McFarlane getting the win. And he'd signed a contract pretty much the day or two after, and is now back in the gym. And so I guess a couple of fights on the belts. Hopefully his conditioning is better than it was for the Nick Campbell fight. We'll have to see. Moving on to Franklin Ignatius, the British prospect who fought Hosea Stewart to a draw. He's doubled down on claims that Hosea Stewart has pulled out of a fight with him, a rematch, with a fake injury. So he says lying about an injury with no proof. You're 25 stone, scared, and knowing you're going to lose. The Midlands chicken, and here's his clip.
Here we go again, Hosea. Here we go again. All you're doing is talking shit. Listen, man, there was no shoulder injury. No one saw no proof. No doctors, no nothing. All you've been doing is talking and running your mouth. You had a date already. The promoter gave you a date. My team agreed and your team agreed. Instead, you pulled out talking shit. The truth of the matter is, you're out of shape. You're 25 stone. You know you weren't going to be ready for October 8th. That's what really happened. You're a bum. We all know you're a bum. Stop talking. Stop lying. You're a bum. You ain't never going to be ready when you're running to McDonald's every week.
Meanwhile, fellow British prospect Solomon Dacres returns to the ring this weekend. He's facing Dominic Akinladi. So that is on the Matchroom card that's happening in the UK. And rounding out this heavyweight news and notes mashup video, so Dave Allen, so letting everyone know that he's still training and he's still intending to come back, saying, I didn't have time to tell everyone last week, but I was in the gym every morning, hitting the bags, and every night I was out on the road running. I have a date for a fight in November if nothing comes up in the meantime. I'm very busy fathering, training, and managing, but fighting is still something I love doing and can't wait to get back to it. So Alan, he's actually mooted a number of different fight dates and comebacks in the last sort of 6 months or so. It hasn't really sort of panned out how he was intending, but clearly he's open to offers, and we'll see where that one goes. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Boxing_squared. I'm out.